I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world, but these guys are definitely not Kens. It's Nerding Out with Mike and Tom. The first, the last, the Nerdom.
Oh, ah, there we
Oh,
go.
hello.
Okay.
Hey, I'm back.
Yeah. Hey, Tom. How you doing?
Yep. Hey, that AI Millie, she's getting a little rascally there, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Apparently, you and I do not
Yeah.
can qualify. Or
We don't reach that kin level, evidently. Yeah. Yeah. So we're everybody's crazy about Barbie. This I think it just hit $1 billion this week. So we thought we'd jump on the Barbie train, and you've seen Barbie.
yes, yes, I did. And before we get going here too quick, I'm gonna pull that up here while I
Yeah. And while
uh,
Mike's pulling up,
filibuster.
I'm Tom. I've got Mike here. This is Nerding Out. This is our we have a podcast where we kind of focus in on a certain thing, and we this week we did Fire and Ice, and last week we did, or a couple weeks ago we did What We Do in the Shadows. We do a lot of different things, but the Nerding Out show that you're watching right now, we talk about various things. We usually have. We try to keep it loose and fancy free. So yeah, just kind of a conversation. We hope later on that we'll have guests on and just grow this as a bigger family. We'd like to get
Absolutely.
more talking heads here, so we can make it even more interesting. And but yeah, but we kind of like to have maybe a main focus so our thumbnail looks kind of pretty with one focus thing on there. And I don't have anything pink, so I thought I'd change my lighting to be a pink to kind of
Yeah,
balance us out.
yep. And before we get into the main balance of the show, with the Pink and Barbie and all that, and the mania that there is, there's also the Oppenheimer that's attached to that. But and I'll have more
Hmm.
commentary on that as we get going. But first, we want to thank all the folks out there who are newer, who subscribed in the last several months. We do appreciate it very much. We are hard driving to get to 100 subscribers. That's the goal by the end of the year. Maybe it'll happen, maybe it won't. But we it certainly wouldn't help. Certainly wouldn't hurt by asking for your humble subscription. If you hear
Hmm.
this or see this for the first time and you want more, we have an ever-growing back catalog of 140 plus videos. It will be 142 by the time we publish our other main show where we covered our last main show. But we
Hmm.
like to do that main, like Thomas was saying. This is the new nerding out part here where we are covering the ground here, as it were, for whatever we come across,
Yep,
essentially,
it's
and
whatever's on our mind. Yeah,
nerded out. Yeah, I
yeah.
definitely nerded out to this movie, and it kind of I think I've held up the main thing here for what we're driving, and you gave a very good intro. Pink, although it because there's so much pink on my screen, my shirt is white, but coincidentally, it does look like there's a pink tent going on.
Yeah,
So
a pink
that
hue. Yeah.
you know what? That works. That works.
All right.
So I'm down with it. But yeah, so I got to see this movie with this is the one of several really good um, primo hits that people were really waiting for. This
Hmm.
one, this one took me by surprise for multiple reasons, and we'll get into it. But there's also like we're kind of hitting that nice part of the year, like where we're actually getting really good movies, depending upon your
Hmm.
taste and your what
Yeah.
you care to do. But obviously, I think this was an obvious marketing no brainer that everybody kind of very much accepted. And I think there was definitely a play, but I saw this with my daughter, and I like that. I love that I can get that second layer to like where you're not quite so in the weeds or in the this or that. 'Cause it seems like if you like something, there's going to be a group of folks or a small group
Hmm.
that say something about it or whatever, which is fine. It's all good. It all makes the world go round, right? So, but yeah, this was the Barbie movie, and so I had seen it. And did you get around to seeing it, or no?
No, no,
Not your wait.
I'll probably get around to it. Just because I love the people behind it. The writer director Greta Gerwig.
Yep, very good one.
I enjoy. She did quite a few indie movies. co-written by her husband Noah Baumbach, who's done some movies with Wes Anderson and also on his own. He's a great writer director as well. So I'm kind of curious, more than anything, to see what they've done with this. I know it was a previously going to be written by Amy Schumer, which would have been a completely different thing, I think, altogether.
Yeah,
maybe less successful.
yeah,
She was
I
kind of ousted on that.
yeah, that there was it had some growing pains, and I want to say like how it came out was I kind of saw this coming down, and we talked about this at the top of the year.
Hmm.
We pulled up that chart that had like it was a screenshot of like all the big releases that were going to be peppered
Hmm.
out throughout the year, and we kind of like went through and like picked on the ones that we might see or the ones that no we weren't interested in,
Yep.
and this one was one that I kind of I see it, and like my initial reaction would probably be like, "I'm good," but counter to that, being a dad, it's a little bit easier to slide into these things.
Hmm.
And we saw it, and the thing is that I want to remark on here, and then the pink thing isn't just like a gag at all, or a prop here as we go forward, but
Hmm.
no joke, like if you have even been in the theaters or anywhere near the theaters, you have inevitably come across a sea or a good like endless groups of folks wearing some kind of pink when they go see
Hmm.
this movie, and I think that speaks to like how dead simple the concept is and how
Right.
hungry I think there is people out there where because you grew up in the same era of this as I did, as did
Yeah.
other
Hmm.
generations. But Barbie is definitely a cultural touchstone
Oh
that
yeah,
if
absolutely.
you grew up in the last 40, 50, 60 years, 70 years even, you know exactly what to even beyond that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
uh,
and
s-
to be honest, when I was a kid, my younger sister and I would uh, play a lot together with our toys. And my elder sister, uh, she would um, she would set everything up, and then a Partridge Family or some sitcom would come on, and she would never end up playing with us. She would want to go watch her TV. So my younger sister and I, we would be the ones playing, and she was a good sport. She had her Star Wars toys as well, and we'd play Star Wars. But every once in a while, she'd want to play Barbies, and I think I was probably a bad influence on her because I would always concoct some crazy ideas for Barbie to get into all sorts of weird problems. I think we were a little bit older. We were also watching Miami Vice. So I had this little toy monkey, and he came in with I think it was we taped up little packets of salt as cocaine, and got all of Barbie Land strung out on drugs. But I as you can see, I'm a bad influence. And we also did like a big we did do a musical. We'd taped a lot of songs off of the radio, and we had a big musical with their Barbies, and we also had Welcome Back Cotter dolls, and I
that's
had some
funny.
Migos as well. And I think it's centered around a group of cannibals or something. So I I was I was very inventive as a kid, and I think I gave my younger sister a little bit of a twisted sense of humor along. I guess she probably had it in her as well, but yeah, we had fun. So yeah,
Oh yeah.
I'm familiar with Barbie. But yeah, I think the fun of Barbie is just a girl being a girl.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I think that's the joy of it. I think what's happened kind of recently is they've been kind of trying to put the female into action movies and whatnot, and um, I think there's like a celebration at this point when say Tom Cruise, a guy being a guy in the new Top Gun release, does huge numbers, and then a girl just being a girl in Barbie,
Yep.
and that's doing huge numbers. I think that's kind of telling you what the audience is kind of hungry for.
Yeah, it definitely. I think, and there's going to be no shortage of ink spilt, along the lines of this or that. But And I won't really add anything too novel there, but I do think that what is escapes most, and I'm just surprised that it escapes so many people who are critical of it. And don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with being critical of it at all, but there's fair points there, but the thing is this is exactly the same movie, but from a little girl's perspective, as the Lego movie was when it came out. It was like, say, an
Mhm.
8-year-old kid, and that the
Mhm.
Lego movie was made exactly like it. It didn't make any
Mhm.
sense. It had the big crackle. It had all these very imaginative things that, like, from a kid's perspective, including kind of these incorporated, buzzwords that are incorporated that are excellently played out to comedic relief. To as it's kind of it's just sheer ridiculousness. This Barbie land, it's
Mhm.
just kind of like it's this elseworld that I think that people weren't quite grasping, that it's like from a different perspective when you go through it.
Mhm.
And I think it plays to that very well. Did I enjoy it? All the way through. Yeah, it had some parts that could have been a little bit sharper, but you know what? The same thing could have been said about Lego Movie, and I've actually heard people that didn't like it. And I get
Mhm.
that. Sometimes it's for some and not for others. But also, when the Lego Movie came out, it also kind of took people by surprise by how uh, how widespread it was. I know
Mhm.
it definitely washed up. We had the
Yeah.
paraphernalia wash up on our shores when the kiddos were younger. From the
Right.
video game to the thing, it
Yeah.
was something that hit and
Yeah.
made memories. And this is no different than that. So like I guess I'm a little bit insulated from some of the other takes out there. But as a
Right.
parent, and I had fun. Whenever
Yeah.
you can kind of be part of a fun, just a fun, innocent, silly thing.
Yeah.
Um, it,
There.
it's something that we all kind of like look forward to. I think, especially in this
Mhm.
day and age, like where you have social media, and you have
Mhm.
so-called hype or grassroots things that's kind of spring
Mhm.
up. And this is like one of those things that was actually genuine and not
Right.
manufactured on somebody's screen.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was a genuine excitement about this and Oppenheimer, and
Yep,
they did all the
Oppenheimer.
memes about Barbieheimer, and people were doing a double feature and
Yep.
all of that. And one of the things that makes sense about this is that, obviously the Barbie movie is kind of geared more towards adults, but it's and older kids.
Sure.
You probably, I don't know, you could tell me you probably don't want to bring in some toddlers into to see Barbie.
Yeah,
Uh,
no, I didn't really see. I saw a lot of daughters and moms and
hmm
grandmas all kind of in friends, just whole group of friends, just
hmm
and they're all kind of wearing pink of some kind or whatever. It was no different. I did that
hmm
with my daughter,
Yep.
and she wore, her thing. And it was just kind of fun. It was a fun experience to go through. And to piggyback on that, I understand. I didn't get to see Oppenheimer until just recently, until this past
hmm
weekend. But we wanted to see it, and I can definitely see where they did the double feature and they capitalized on that, because
hmm
these two movies are not competing against each other at all. As strange as that
Right.
is to sound, they
Yeah.
really aren't. Oppenheimer is very much a now is very much a male movie. Just
hmm
from the so they pair perfectly well together.
Yeah.
In the strangest duo I think I've ever
hmm
seen. In being alive as an adult,
Yep.
very rarely
Yeah.
do you see two completely
Yeah. Disparate.
separate
Yeah. Yeah.
properties. Yeah,
Yeah.
it works. It really
Yeah,
does.
and the melding of it was very natural
Yep.
and very. It was kind of grassroots. No studio head could have come up with this. Yeah, it
No.
just came about organically. Now, obviously, studios are going to try to recreate this excitement. And very recently, I was watching Your Movie Sucks. He reviewed Barbie and Oppenheimer together, and he mentioned that uh, the um the people behind Saw and Paw Patrol are trying to do a combo with them, calling it Saw Patrol.
Okay.
and try to get that going, and that's not going to go anywhere. I mean,
No.
obviously those are pretty disparate as well, but I don't see anyone wanting to see both of those movies. But but yeah, that's kind of interesting. He also said that he did it as a double feature as well, Barbie and Oppenheimer, and he said there was only one person that carried over and did both movies separate from him, and it
Yeah.
was some guy that was dressed up as Spider-Man. He couldn't quite figure out what was
All
going
right.
on there, but
Oh, well,
but
maybe he was the Miles Morales
mhm,
movie still in the theaters, I believe. But yeah, and this is one of the rare ones where in really any given movie that I want to go see throughout the year is not a blockbuster like this or a phenomenon
mhm,
even. It has gone beyond,
mhm,
nobody's doubting that it's ever going to make money. And we'll cover that here in a minute. But the fact that this is one of the rare times like when I log into the website to buy the tickets ahead of time instead of just showing up, just to make it
mhm,
easier to just walk in. I had to look for a few different times because they were either sold out or the seating sucked.
mhm,
And of course, now in this day and age, there's no such thing as a seat sucking if you just have a
mhm.
little bit of patience and you want
Yeah,
to, you can shop around. It might be a little bit harder if your metro area is a little bit smaller or you have fewer choices, but if you have a little bit of a drive, you're definitely going to want to pick your seat. And I'm glad I did that with this and that Oppenheimer. And Oppenheimer was just as packed as this was.
yeah.
Trying to get in. Matter of fact, it was kind of frustrating to get in to get the tickets because it would air out or something or whatever. But not due to like it was being crushed or anything, but just
Yeah,
to kind of was like it was, and I both saw both movies very late at night, to like
yeah.
where it went, after midnight or so. Definitely
Mhm,
for Oppenheimer, and but for
yeah,
this one, it was cute, it was adorable, it was fun. I don't know what more you would want from it. I mean, it's not,
yep.
and the thing I think that goes in its favor, I will say that I kind of agree with some kind of general, kind of common knowledge, which is like we're during the strike, so you don't have the benefit of a Margot Robbie, or Ryan Gosling, kind of, hitting the trades,
Mhm.
and kind of doing hitting the circuit is what they call it.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Hidden circuit. Yeah.
yeah, hitting the circuit. But in any
Mhm,
case, I think that I don't. I think that this would have been. I don't think it would have been all that different had they been able to promote the movie. I mean, it would just added on to it, but it was going to happen anyway. So, and
yeah.
people like what they like, and I think that it helped.
Mhm,
I do think that it helped in this day and age. I do think that it probably helped that the strike was on during this whole time period, to let this kind of catch fire with people. The people,
mhm,
like people didn't tell us about this. This is something that we
mhm,
told the people that we wanted to see, or told the studios we like this.
mhm.
Like
Yeah,
we're
and
into it.
hopefully the studios will take this as a lesson and kind of maybe instead of trying to make their own kind of a force the audience into something, give them something that they want. And I will say Ryan Gosling is one of my favorite actors right now,
Yep.
so yeah, it's always good to see him kind of stretch out into a more comedic role. He does do serious very well. But yeah, he's I know he has a
He,
good sense of humor, so I'm sure he did a great
yeah.
job in this.
Not all actors, not all male actors, or even female actors can do comedy like
Hmm.
this. He is one of the rare ones who can. And you accept it, and it's not like silly or dumb or
Right.
like just
Yeah.
out of sorts.
Yeah,
This was like
if you're
good
playing
balance.
yeah, if you're playing Ken, you can't take yourself too seriously, and I know he, from the interviews I've seen, he's pretty down to earth and doesn't take himself too seriously. But yeah, and then also I think your movie sucks. He was talking about the interesting how the audiences were completely different. He said when he went to see Oppenheimer, there's a lot of teenagers in suits, whereas obviously the Barbie audience was very much in the had their pink on, and he said there was much more of them. With Oppenheimer, the people that were there was there to see that movie.
Yep.
Whereas with Barbie, I think it was he said it was more of an event where
Yep.
a lot of them were on their phones and weren't even actually watching the movie as much as say Oppenheimer. but
That's funny.
but 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 yeah, both movies are something on my radar, and I'll probably eventually watch them. But yeah, it wasn't something I had to rush out and see.
Yeah, I think they and I think Mattel did a good job on the saying just the right things and not saying other things, just kind of being quiet
Right.
and
Yeah,
letting
and
people kind of get there. And this had Will Ferrell in it as well, and he was funny as usual. Although,
yeah.
um, he's kind of getting along in the tooth a little bit, but he was also part of the Lego Movie too, which is like no
Yeah.
surprise. And
Yep.
I will say I'll call out really great performances by Kate McKinnon. Hilarious, just hilarious.
Mm,
She played the weird Barbie, which is
yep.
which is supposed to be like kind of like the big brother or comes through or your other sibling comes through and takes your most
Like
favorite
me.
Barbie
Yeah.
toy and wrecks it or
hmm
even the original owner of the Barbie, the little girl would kind of give it a
Yeah.
haircut or something
Yeah,
at
and
some
I
point.
saw it. While I was having dinner. We had the news on, and they mentioned that they're coming out with a weird Barbie. Mattel is
That's
coming out
funny.
with a weird Barbie, and had a picture of it. It looked interesting. Which I think I don't know if Mattel was kind of um, wasn't sure whether or not this was going to be big or not. I know at Comic Con, the San Diego Comic Con, which is the big Comic Con event that happened a couple weeks ago. I was watching Mega 64 and uh, Rocco
His
Bodie.
coverage.
He was talking about it, and he said he went to the Mattel booth, and they had a big booth, but they didn't really have Barbie. There was no Barbie around for Mattel, which he was kind of shocked by. He had just
Hmm.
seen the Barbie movie. It was he said, I don't buy the Barbies, but Ken had some interesting looks there in the movie, and he goes, I was kind of hoping I could get maybe a Ryan Gosling inspired Ken, but they didn't have anything
That
like
is
that.
fun.
So
Well, I think that just goes to show you that much in the technology world, E3 used to be a staple across the tech universe, tech news sphere.
hmm
Just like just same thing for video gaming. The conferences have kind of died. So I think anything of note, that would normally be up there, I think the days are quickly waning on those
yeah.
big, kind of blowout. And it is what it is. But yeah, this I think you're right. I think you're right. This was kind of unpacked. And my understanding is that Mattel intends on doing this again with other toy lines that they've
Oh, I'm
had.
sure they'll
Um, for the
they're going to come up with Mattelverse, obviously
right,
with and it'll build up with the big final movie where Thanos snaps and removes half of the Barbies or something, uh,
right,
but
right on, right on.
which they're kind of I'm probably hoping for it, but yeah, so we also have we're big on Chat GPT. We're working with AI. We had our AI introduction. We have a Barbie inspired skit to end it. If you remember our first nerding out, we did a skit with Star Trek, which turned out pretty decent. So we're gonna try our luck again with Barbie. But we also have we're also trying top 10 lists. We're trying to revive it. David Letterman had it on his show, and he had a team of writers to write up a top 10 list every day that they were on the air, and very funny. We're trying to see if Chat GPT, if we can get AI to be as funny as a team of writers. So we gave it a gave it a top 10 list to generate.
We
Last
did.
last time we did it, there was kind of it. I don't think we gave it a good enough question to generate a good top 10 list. So this week I kind of tweaked it a little bit, and it wasn't Barbie inspired, but we did. It's kind of a news worthy. We were kind of fascinated with Cocaine Bear, and we wondered what would be the top 10 things Cocaine Bear would say if he had visited the White House. Because I know there
Absolutely.
was a cocaine kerfluffle there a couple weeks back in the White
Right.
House.
Right.
So we did that, and I kind of glanced over it. I think we've got a little bit better results. If you're ready, we could go ahead and do that. Um,
Yeah,
are you, Mike?
absolutely. Yeah.
All
Yeah,
right.
absolutely. Yeah, I'll let you hit it off with you want to hit the top or the bottom?
I think we got to go from bottom up.
I agree. I agree. Yeah.
10 to the top.
Yeah, so
Um,
yeah, go ahead if you want to do our first one here.
yeah, and we don't have a drum roll yet.
No.
We're still working on that. Okay, number 10 of what Cocaine Bear would say if he visited the White House. Number 10 is, I'm ready for my close up with the press, but no questions about my past, please. No questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, number nine for the top 10 things a cocaine bear would say if you visited the White House, a tour of the Oval Office. Uh, oh my God, a tour of the Oval Office. Possum.
Awesome. These are more dad joke oriented,
Right.
I'll say. And then okay, we're at number 8. Can I be the ambassador for forest conservation? I have some unique experience.
For sure. Yeah. Number seven, who's the current resident? I hope they're bear friendly.
Bear being Bear. I think if you have to explain the joke, sometimes it's not as
Right.
good.
Right.
Number 6. We're almost halfway there. I've seen some wild forest, but the political jungle here is something else.
And number five, the Secret Service is on point, but they can't outsniff me.
Okay. Number 4. Where's the honey? I was promised a state dinner.
Indeed. I've number three. I've heard there's a rose garden here. Careful with the thorns. I've had enough run-ins with sharp objects. All right.
All right. And number 2, is there a room where I can hibernate after that long journey?
Indeed. And for the number one top 10 things Cocaine Bear might say if he visited the White House, I must say the landscaping here is barely impressive.
Yes. So yeah, more dad joke inspired. Also there Cocaine Bear was a little bit more coherent and a lot more friendlier than what he was in the movie. So,
Yep. Yeah. And as we called out earlier in the year, that's when I went and saw, and it was a silly popcorn type movie that was just for your own benefit. And actually, St. Louis kind of had a little bit of a minor part in there. So if you see that I think it's available streaming. We'll put it in the link. We'll put a link
yeah,
to it down below for Just Watch. We like to use that one.
yeah.
But yeah.
I,
Oh, go ahead.
I liked how Chat GPT gave a little disclaimer at the bottom of our list. It says, "Remember, this list is entirely fictional and meant to be humorous, reflecting the whimsical nature of the Bear legend."
Indeed. Indeed.
So
Yeah.
yeah, we don't want to besmirch Cocaine Bear or the Oval Office.
Right, right, right. Of course not. Yeah, no. Yeah, this was to kind of wrap up our Barbie thread here. Unless you have anything else to say, but like,
No.
it took me. I was surprised. I definitely agree. I think the score was like 7.5.
Hmm.
I might come in a little bit. I might give it a little bit of a haircut. But I don't know. We'll see what the Metalloverse might bring. I don't know. They tried to do GI Joe quite a few years back, and that
Hmm.
didn't quite stick the landing. I think they did a couple of them, but it just didn't quite hit the mark. Just didn't quite get to there.
Yeah.
I think it was a little bit more too Mission Impossible, James Bond, or more action oriented than it
Well,
actually was about
yeah.
the GI Joe the concept.
I
I
think
think.
I think what worked about Barbie overall is that they gave you Barbie.
Yep. 100%.
Barbie looks like Barbie, Ken looks
Yep.
like Ken. Whereas with a lot of the newer products, a lot of newer movies, they say, okay, I'm giving you GI Joe, but they're going to change everything,
Right.
or change a lot of the major points or a lot of the characters, and so that it's not really GI Joe anymore. It's a skewed version of GI Joe, and there's a less enthusiasm. There people want what they want Superman. They don't want
Right.
Superman adjacent. They want Superman. So
Right.
if you give them what they want, which they gave with Barbie, they're gonna come see it. Whereas if you don't give them what they want, it's really a toss up whether or not they're going to go see it or not. But if you want to maximize your IP, you want to give the audience what they want. Um,
This
and
and
yeah.
from the casting at Margot, there is no way that an Amy Schumer Barbie would have been anything like this. And maybe who knows, an alternative universe, or what do they call that on Rick and Morty? The interdimensional cable or whatever.
Yeah.
You click on. Maybe her idea would have rendered a completely different kind of ha-has from the Sink of Foz, but
Yeah.
I don't know that it would have not been the same, landed the same with the genius that is Greta Gerwig at all. And the superb acting by Margot Robbie instantly was taken back to her in Suicide Squad, both one and two, and some other uh, roles that she's done. And she's a very good actress all the way around. And Ryan Gosling, it's just an easy win. And they made this to like where it was exactly it's just so outlandish. I,
Hmm.
I just don't see how you could see how this is uh, a harbinger of the apocalypse at all. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
And boy, if you can connect those dots, hey, more power to you.
Yeah.
But the thing I like to say is of late is let art be art. And if you like it, you like it. God
Hmm.
bless you. There's
Yeah.
a,
Yeah.
but it's just kind of fun. The biggest thing that I liked about this whole thing, which is even more thing, was being able to share this as part of a fun. Don't be a stick in the mud. Come on, loosen up a little bit. Live a little.
Right.
As we talk about Barbie, but I have no doubt that it'll grow into something that many people will like to revisit. I'm sure there'll be a Barbie anniversary, but it
Hmm.
definitely fits in and complements perfectly the Oppenheimer. So they
Hmm.
hit that on the head. Of course, Oppenheimer was so much more of a different movie. And boy, let me tell you, we'll talk about that one in another show maybe. But
Hmm.
that one, I have no doubt. We are big Nolan fans here, and that one hit the mark. I will say that for sure. In a way that Tenet did not. Tenet was kind of panned. While we're on the topic, but I was going to say, I think that's I just want to say, your money well spent. Go see it while you still can. And I'm sure it's going to be just as wildly popular on streaming to kind of defy this kind of the streaming business
Yeah.
thing that we're in. This weird thing with the strike and the actors and the
Hmm.
writers and AI and and all
Well,
that, all the above.
and physical media too. I think when the DVD or Blu-ray comes out,
True.
they'd be smart to package that with a Barbie or
Oh
something,
yeah,
or
collector's
do
edition.
something that. I also wanted to touch upon Disney. Disney's stopping doing physical media in Australia. I know they're shutting them
Oh,
down. I think a lot of the Asian countries, they're stopping that, which is kind of surprising, especially
that's
with
interesting.
Australia, because Australia, obviously, they're anything that's imported into Australia, get the price gets hiked up just because it takes so long, and the shipping things to Australia is a bit expensive, and so that's reflected in the price. But there's a high demand for physical media in Australia because they're not known for their strong internet. Internet's not really strong in certain areas of Australia, so physical media is still a big thing there. And in fact, they have a lot of boutique physical media companies there, like Umbrella. I was going to bring up Umbrella especially because they're an
Mm.
Australian company, and I forgot to give you the link for that. Let me give you that real
That's
quick.
okay. Yeah, you can spin it up here on the side while we
Yeah,
go through. But
yeah,
yeah,
and mhm,
you know, I don't hold out hope because like usually like when the manufacturer or when the main big owner of this thing when it lands, they usually miss the mark somewhere else. Like physical.
right.
You would think that this would be ripe for that, but for some reason, and this is kind of like a little bit of a minor little kind of soapbox thing here that I'll just drop. But when, why have the studios and the big companies forgotten about that marketing piece, like that next mile, that you know the toys it's just kind of like they just kind of give up on it,
Mm-hmm.
like where they would promote the
Yeah.
toys just as much as they would, or they would have some kind of a thing. But
Yep.
of course, let me bring this up here while I filibuster and talk my way through.
But yeah, Umbrella. I haven't got anything from them, but I've been tempted by them. They do special editions of movies, and I gave Mike the coming soon page because I think we're both kind of interested in some of that. They're doing a
Oh,
special
absolutely.
edition of Dune and Children of Dune miniseries. It's a bit expensive if you look at the price on it, but they
Yikes.
have like a little Lego sandworm in there if you look at it. And also,
Okay,
we
that's
talked
cool.
about Possession about a month or two ago, and they're doing a collector's edition of Possession,
Now
which mhm,
I will absolutely buy that for sure.
yeah, and it
Um,
comes with a hardback book even. So
yeah, the
that's looks
Dune, that is very cool. That is very cool. But
mhm.
and that is of course the
Yeah.
that
If you
is the
click on
Sci-Fi
the
Channel. I
yeah.
think that's the Sci-Fi
Yeah,
Channel version
yeah,
of it
yeah. If you
rendition.
click on that, you could get a closer look at the sandworm toy that comes with it.
Well, let's
Uh,
get there.
yeah,
Hopefully it shows up here. But
yeah. It's that top one there.
yep,
You,
that's as good
oh,
as it
yeah.
gets.
No, they have another one. If you that one there. So, uh,
This one.
yeah, or the one above it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, there we go.
yeah.
Okay, that's very cool. Okay, like a tableau. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's very cool.
yeah.
Awesome. I
Kind
like
of.
that. Yeah, I would totally get that. Yeah. But yeah, 130. That's not cheap, but you know, it
Yeah,
is.
it's.
But you again, this is for fans. This is for fans. The
Hmm.
possession one, that's a no-brainer. For $70, that's a
Hmm.
steal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
You all be careful with that one.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
that
gonna
wow,
be
this is
some.
really cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but yeah, they quickly sell out of things. But yeah, it's sort of geared towards, and you could get a smaller like the without the no frills one for like $35.
see, I like
Um,
that. They give you a choice. That's cool. That's cool.
mhm. Yeah, so that's I guess we could put the link in for Umbrella on there. But yeah, if you're into like occult and interesting movies, like we are, which if you're watching us, you probably are. So yeah, take a look at their website. We're not sponsored by them. We'd love to if they wanted to give us a sponsor, but yeah, the umbrella along, and they're Australian, and they do a lot of business with the Australians. Like I said, there's a big physical media market there, and for Disney just to shut it off, that's really short sighted for them.
Well,
Um,
I think that just goes hand in hand with the current, you know, current modern day Omnicorp, you know, type mentality, you know, like
yep,
cutting costs and whatnot. I have no doubt
right,
that that's part of it. You know,
yeah.
just and we covered this over a year ago where such and such publisher was going to using cheaper paper. I remember that article
Hmm. Yeah.
quite a while back. So they're just
Hmm.
anytime they can cut a penny here or a nickel there. So this is all we're always going to be whether they ever sponsor us or even know who we are. We will always try to find these links to where you can actually go find the physical media of some kind.
Hmm.
Because more often than not, it's boutique, to say the
Hmm.
least. But
Yep.
yeah, hopefully enough of this stuff sells to like make it worth their while. So like I
Yeah.
definitely I appreciate the share. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Very
know
cool.
that some of them, if you sometimes you could order it through like Amazon. They but if you order it direct from the from them, a lot of times, they appreciate that, and obviously more money goes to them if you order it directly. And a lot of times they'll throw in a little extras like maybe bookmarks or just a little something to add a little bit of customer flair to it. I find with other companies. Always support your small companies like that. Because if you don't, these things won't happen.
Absolutely, yeah. And speaking of covering, moving on from Barbie and going into some of these cult classics, and this is a shout out to Dune is coming up, and I think we're good because I kind of sent it to you in the chat in the time between last show and this one, where they were talking about Dune being maybe it might be delayed or whatever, and I believe that it's back on track. I believe that it's not
Yeah,
going to be an issue. But that was
yeah.
kind of a scare that
Yeah,
we
because of the
experienced a
writer's
little bit.
strike. Yeah, I think I was reading some of the speculation.
Hmm.
They were speculating maybe they were kind of trying to generate press and interest for Dune by saying that. Because I think one of the this one person that said she was in with marketing for Warner Brothers, or I forget exactly what her job was within Warner Brothers. She kept watching the release schedule, and Dune never changed. So as
Right.
far as the release date, so she was along with everybody else was kind of thinking maybe they were just trying to stir up interesting, which is kind of silly, but whatever.
Ye- Yeah, they better be careful with that because
Hmm.
but boy that's on bad. Don't build your house on sand like that. But
Yeah.
hopefully the tomfoolery will be knocked down, and Dune will have its own wave. If it's going to make it and it's going to be a thing, it's going to be on the back of the fans and word of mouth. It
I
will
did notice.
100%. It will
Uh-huh.
100% be repeat viewing for sure. How big
Uh-huh.
are I don't know.
Mhm.
It could be a splash. I don't know. It could be a little.
Well, I
We
I
don't know until it's out. So
I
we'll
think I think they've got they're looking pretty big because I noticed that all the IMAX screens are for Dune.
yep,
None of them are for Marvels.
yeah. Or
The big
Blue Beetle.
Disney Marvel
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah. Or
So
that.
yeah, yeah.
Excuse me. No,
So
yeah,
mhm,
blue. Excuse me. Let me correct myself. Sorry, you're right. You're right. I don't know why I was thinking Blue Beetle. You're right because the Marvels will be around released around
mhm, the
that
same
date of
time. Yeah,
yeah around the
yeah.
same area of the year for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah,
Um,
and yeah, Dune's booked with all the IMAXs, and Marvel is not Marvel's. So yeah, another L for Disney. Another L for Disney is I heard that Lizzo's has some legal issues with
I
I think her her
you know what?
dancers brought a lawsuit against her.
Yeah, I just watched a segment from Breaking Points where they occasionally they cover and they just cover the facts of the case as it were,
Mhm.
and they're very even-handed with it. They don't like they're not coming down on one side or the other. Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
about that.
and
I kind of
uh,
ignored. I resisted like reading anything about it because I just don't
mhm,
care. Because like that
mhm,
side of pop culture, like if it, I just don't, it just doesn't enter my purview. I could care less. But having heard like what some of the things that happen with that,
mhm,
and of course we don't cover the news like that per
yeah,
se. We just kind of slight commentary. But yeah, that's things are kind of unwrapping
yeah.
a
Well,
little bit.
yeah. However, representing the first, the last, the Nerdom, did reach out for comment from Baby Yoda. He has not said anything yet. We're still waiting for a comment from him, but yeah, I know he was pretty tight with Lizzo, so we're we're kind of concerned for a little Baby Yoda.
Yeah, maybe
Um,
Jack Black will save us all for and sing a
right,
song that's
exactly.
funny.
Absolutely. And then I guess since I've been throwing a bunch of L's at Disney, let me throw a W at them. I recently read the X-Men Hellfire Gala 2023, which is the big event they do every year.
Hmm.
This is the third big event. It's a big fashion show that Emma Frost puts on, and they introduced the new lineup for the X-Men for that year. And I when I get around to reading my comics for the week, um I kind of put them in the order I want to read, with the ones I want to read the most up front, and the ones I want to read least at the back. And this one was way far in the back, because I didn't have any high hopes for it. And it's weird how a comic book can take you from one end to the other, just bring you to a 180. I started hating this comic book, and by the end, I loved it. It's one of those. It's a lot of mixed emotions. It starts with them bringing back Miss Marvel. If you We talked about it a few months ago.
Yep.
They killed off Miss Marvel. This will be I'm sorry, this is a bit of a spoiler. So if you haven't read this issue yet, it's been out for a few weeks. You might want to skip this segment, because I'm going to go in a bit of spoilers to tell you why I ended up loving this comic book. But yeah, it starts off with turns out Miss Marvel not only has powers from the alien power that she has, she also is a mutant.
Yeah, that's what
Uh,
I heard. That's
yeah,
what I heard, that the down
yeah,
low is
uh,
amongst the
hmm
chattering class online for
yeah,
comic books.
yeah. So she's a
At least the ones
mutant.
I follow.
And if you haven't been up on your X-Men books, the X-Men are living on Krakoa, and they've developed a way of storing people's minds and then being able to reform their body and bring them back. So basically, everybody can be immortal at Krakoa. So since she's a mutant, I guess they stored her memory and they were able to bring her back. I have no interest in Miss Marvel, so this whole plot about her having extra powers. I
Hmm.
think the big thing is, since the show that she had different powers during the show. This may be a way of, I guess, giving her extra powers to maybe bring her in line with the TV show. Maybe, I don't know. I don't care. So right off, I'm reading it and I'm not really caring. And then they introduce the new lineup of X-Men, which uh, both Cyclops and Jean Grey have stepped aside. They're not going to be part of the X-Men anymore.
Hmm.
So it's going to be, it was going to be Sync, which I hardly know that character.
Know that one.
Talon,
Hmm.
Talon, which is an old X-23, the female Wolverine.
Okay.
It was going to
Okay.
be Dazzler, Jubilee, and a couple other people. I had no idea who they were, and Juggernaut. And I was like, who the hell is going to read this comic book? I don't
Right.
care about these characters. There's a bunch of side characters making a team. I was about ready to. There was a big splash page of them, and making them look all big and fancy. And I don't care about this. And I was about ready to throw away the comic book. And you flip the next page, and Nimrod, which is the big mutant killer, he comes crashing into the next panel, another full page. He goes crashing through and killing all of them, except for Juggernaut. And I was like, yes, yes, yes,
Right.
destroy them. So Orchis, which is sort of an offshoot of Shield. Shield collapsed, and Orchis started, which is they're against mutants. They're fighting mutants, and so they invade the Hellfire Gala, and they kill off a lot of your mutants. Like they crush Cyclops' legs. They kill off Jean Grey. They kill off a lot of and then they destroy like their way of recreating people, so that there's no more regeneration. So for right
Oh wow.
now, those characters are dead. And they make they end up making Charles Xavier force all of the mutants out of off of Earth, which he thinks he's forcing them off onto Mars. But come to find out, Who knows where he sent them off to? By the end of the comic book, he thinks he sent them off to their death. Uh, but uh, but yeah, so so
And
this big apocalyptic thing happens to all these mutants. There's a core of various X-Men mutants that can resist Charles's influence, and so they've remained behind on Earth, like Shadowcat, Kitty Pryde,
hmm,
and Emma Frost, and a few others are still there and are kind of hiding out and trying to figure out what to do at the end of it. So it's kind of destroyed the whole Krakoa thing, which
right,
there's some people that loved it, some people that hated it. So this is sort of back to the basics of X-Men on the run. They're being hunted down, and them trying to fight against this superpower. And I think they killed off Iceman as well. And then the next issue of X-Men basically was about Kitty Pryde, Shadowcat, uh, going sort of stealth mode, and seeking revenge against the Orchuses. So it ended. It took me from one emotion to the next. I ended up really loving this comic book. It's a double sized issue, so there's a lot going on in it, especially from what I've described here. But yeah, if you have been kind of on the fence on X-Men, you might want to pick this up to see if you had the same reaction, or maybe read future issues, because it seems to be an interesting time. I really enjoyed the X-Men comic book that followed this, and I'm really kind of curious what the other titles are going to be like. And they're bringing back Alpha Flight, under
oh,
the Mutant brand, so I'm kind of
really?
interested. Yeah, I think it comes out this week or next week,
All right,
which
that would
I'm
be
very
interesting.
excited about. Yeah, and I think I think Gary Dugan wrote this issue. He wrote the X-Men, and I think he's going to be writing Alpha Flight as well. So yeah, Gary Dugan. So hopefully that same quality will run through them all.
We'll retain or say there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I just picked up a year membership to Marvel Unlimited, and hopefully whatever was old 6 months or 3 months or whatever the heck it is, I'll be looking forward to like picking up and reading for
Yep.
sure. Yeah, that reminds me. My brother-in-law borrowed. I don't have it in front of me, but well, I might say that for another time. But the Ronin run of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is currently has a movie out and is popular. And
Hmm.
while we're on that vein, I'll just share what if that's cool with
Yeah.
you to share what I've got what I'm reading immediately. Well, one for sure. The other one it's kind of more nostalgia, but I picked up the Mobile Suit Gundam Origin activation book, and I'll put that in the link.
Oh,
And
make yourself big. Show it off, man.
yeah,
Do a two picture of us.
yeah, absolutely.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, sorry. Let me
Yeah.
shift to the. Oh, gotta move the mouse over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Chatting
There you
View
go.
Mobile Gundam.
Yep.
That
Ooh,
one
look.
is.
Yeah, look at
Yeah,
it.
no, that it's fun. The artwork is amazing. And my brother-in-law is with this strike, it's kind of like branching out and looking at that. But and I will definitely be reading a lot more manga-oriented things that appeal to me, like which is Gundam is like right there. It kind of it's the nexus of all the cool
Hmm.
sci-fi ideas and things I like
Hmm.
to read, and maybe even a French comic or two. We'll see. But those are
Yep.
kind of
Wee
harder
wee.
to. Yeah, those are kind of harder to kind of come by, or I mean, they're not harder to come by. It's just kind of like it's a different recommendation engine and kind of scene that you have to kind of, you really have to be a part of a community to like
Hmm.
Reddit or something to like really kind of get to the good stuff, I guess, unless you have
Hmm.
a guided advisor, friend, or somebody like that who can help you.
Hmm.
But I also got the last month I got the went ahead and threw down for the DC yearly membership as well. Of course,
Hmm.
by nature I'm a little bit more DC heavy
Right.
than Marvel, just from growing up. But I like Marvel too as well. But
Hmm.
Was and they send you the Death of Superman. I think the 30th, yeah, the 30th anniversary edition. So that was cool. That's cool.
Hmm. Yep.
It's kind of like giving Disney a little bit of an L, or Disney Marvel.
Hmm.
Hey man, I mean, I'm not saying you had to give me something, but
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, I think that it kind of speaks to like how like they get it, or somebody
Hmm.
there kind of gets it a little bit. And granted, to be fair, I'm sure these promotions and things change all the time. And I didn't
Yep.
get that just because of that one thing. It was kind of a nice
Hmm.
to have. I was going to get the
Yep.
subscription regardless, but so yeah, we'll get into that. But anyway, speaking of other comic books that might bridge us into the next train wreck. If you wanted me to pivot to that one,
Oh,
or before
just
that.
just real quick, since we're on our show and tell portion
Yep.
of it, neither Marvel or DC, but I'm reading Steven Erickson, the second book,
Nice.
the Book of the Fallen, Dead House Gates. It's a bit of a long one. All of the books are pretty long.
It's a little bit of a
It's
jog.
yeah, yeah, 800
Not
pages,
bad.
but I'm almost done with it. I've got about 300 pages
S-
left. But
And
yeah,
so far,
it's yeah, it's great so far.
nice.
It's book two. When you get done with book one, you're ready to get into book two, and then there's like a who's who of who's in the book in the front, where it kind of tells you all the characters. There's so many characters that sometimes you might forget. You read along, you go, who was this guy again? They've got a little like, who's who in
Oh
here,
my.
and I was kind of looking through, and when I was getting ready to read it, and I was like, I only recognize about three or four of the characters. Like, what's going on here? And when you start reading it, it's a whole different cast of characters for the most part, and so it's kind of throws you for a loop. But he's such a good writer of characters that with the first prologue in here, or
Hmm.
the prologue in here, it's hit you in the gut. I mean, it's so yeah, he doesn't hold any punches. He's like George R. R. Martin. He's not afraid to put his characters through the ringer, and that first bit of it, you're into the book, at least for me, and I was really excited. And then I heard later that this was not going to be book two. He wrote this at the tail end of the '90s, and he started
Okay.
book two, got about 300 pages in, and lost the book. His computer crashed or his word processor
Oh
crashed,
no.
and he lost the book. And so instead of just trying to rewrite it, he wrote this book instead. He started
That's funny.
anew, and so the third book was actually going to be, and then after this, he started rewriting that second book. So the third book was actually going to be the second book, but he said that he likes that he wrote this because without this book later on he couldn't have done some of the stuff that he did with in the later stories. So,
Okay.
but yeah, I'm still really into it. It's a 10 book series, so I don't know if my enthusiasm will stay for the 10 book run, but yeah, I'll keep you posted on that.
That's good. Yeah, and I was gonna say normally you come with the physical media, but I've kind of been banking it here over the
Yeah,
summer.
yeah, absolutely.
And I'm really looking forward to a nice quiet weekend this coming weekend, where I can sit down and catch up and read some of these and really ingest them and properly give them their due.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's cool. That is very cool. And oh, I was gonna say that kind of reminded me of like Game of Thrones, because
Yeah,
it's set up very similar, like well, one length, in breadth and volume. When you get into it, he's just such a good writer. No matter
right.
where you fall in at,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
really it just kind of it just pulls you along if you have any sense of
yeah,
imagination or adventure that
yeah.
you're tied to.
Yeah. I don't know. Did you read the Game of Thrones books
I did.
themselves?
I did not
Hmm.
read all of them. I've read probably about a third of all the ones that are out there.
Hmm.
Enough to have like known that if you read even one or two of the books and you compare it to the show, you very quickly outpace where the show go. I mean,
Hmm.
obviously the show finished out in a different direction, but
Right.
the show really skips. a lot of stuff
Hmm.
anyway to get to where it
Yeah.
is, and it's very different in other parts too. So like I kind of like I actually got spoiled. So like when that Game of Thrones of season 1 came out, I did watch it, but it didn't really captivate me because I had already read the books
Hmm.
or had started in on reading the books, and I got more from the books that I was content for like a long time. I don't think I came back
Hmm.
until like season 3 or
Hmm.
something, and then I kind of by that point I rewatched things and I kind of fell off a cliff for a little bit. Then I kind of
Yeah.
came back to it like toward the very end of season 8, but
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
is what it is. But
Yeah. Yeah. The it's comparable to Game of Thrones in
that's
that
cool.
in the the good thing about this series is that it's a 10-book series. He also has a prequel, and I think he's doing a sequel to this as well. But the 10 books are done. Whereas Game of Thrones, he's Martin's still working on the last 2 books.
Somewhere
Uh,
somewhere
and
lost in space.
yeah, and from what I could tell, like he was writing these within the year, like every year he's coming out with the new one of these. So
Right.
so he's a pretty fast writer. And then if you remember with Game of Thrones, the way he wrote it, like whole sections were one character, and then he would
Right.
go to the next, like from chapter to chapter, he would switch from perspective. Which this guy kind of does too, but he also within the chapter he switches from one scene to the next. So you're never getting you never get that sense of, oh well, I really want to get to this other character. A lot of times with Martin's work, there'd be a certain character I'm like, I really don't really care about this. Let me get through this
Right.
chapter so I can get to the good characters. Whereas I like all of the characters in this. There's not a section where I'm like, oh, let me get through here so I can get to the next prequel. All of it's good so far, so that's a
Right.
good thing.
Yeah, no, I
And
was
the first book was it kind of was very it, it didn't find its pace, I think, until the second book. The
okay.
second book's much more similar to Martin in the sense that there seems to be more of a threat to the characters. In the first book, it was really good, but I didn't ever get that real big sense of a threat to the characters. Whereas he
All
does
right.
a much better job of making it kind of like, oh my gosh, are these characters going to survive? Sort of like with Martin's work, like no one's safe, in
No.
in Game of Thrones, and you get more of that sense in the second book. I'm sure it's throughout the rest of the series, but yeah, I think he you can see the leap in his writing abilities from the first book to this one.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was gonna steal not an original joke from Neurotic talking about George R. R. Martin and the strikes. He playfully put it. He is on day like 12,000 or something of his strike of
All
not. Yeah, I was just
right.
saying. Yeah. So anyway, we were just covering the Hellfire and a few other of our takes. Thomas's book
Yep.
he just was talking about, and
Yep.
that bridges us. I believe that brings us to the next item, which is kind of covering the
Yep.
pop culture, current events and
Mhm.
whatnots, as
Yeah,
it were.
I was watching some comic book artists kind of make fun of this. I think at this point everyone knows who Andrew Tate is. Just in case there's a few people out there that don't know, he's he tried to make a brand where he's trying to speak to the younger generation and try
Young men,
to young men, trying to tell them how to be men. There's yeah,
sigmas and
and
alphas or something like
mhm,
that. I don't know, something along those lines.
mhm. And if if you're a younger fella looking to the internet for your father figure, you might end up with Andrew Tate, which we won't go into his legal and criminal troubles that he's facing. I think he's facing some charges of trafficking women in Romania. But
Yep.
yeah,
Rape
so
charge
so
too, I think, as well. I think they just
uh,
let him go off a house release, but Anyways, like a million other grifters nowadays, as the title is generously shared upon all those popular figures and more, grifting off of their success. The man is still making money, and I guess this is like his latest venture.
Yeah,
Like,
he thinks
okay,
he's previously made fun of people that read comic books, but he's come out with his own. He's coming out with his own comic book, $100 comic book, for the first issue. I think he probably saw what Eric July did with Isom, where he made a few $1 million off of his first issue, and Andrew Tate goes, that sounds like easy money, and he's coming out with his comic book. He didn't put it together with the love and care that Eric July did his comic book by
yeah,
getting top artists, top colorists, top letterers. Looks like for his Andrew Tate's Top G comic book, he got the bottom basement artist. If you kind of look at some of the art here, I
garbage
know Andrew Tate's not the best looking fella, but he made him look like I don't know,
potato.
something out of The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, yeah, and this is a common thing here that has been going across different creators. Like the latest thing is
Mhm,
to kind of create your own thing, and when it's done well, it's done well,
mhm,
and it speaks to that. And this is just a shameless money grab,
mhm.
and
Yep.
and I have seen criticism about the artwork. That it's come across my feed of like essentially making fun of it, not
Right.
at all holding it up to anything other than just the money grab itself.
Mhm,
And the thing is, he didn't care, uh, and I'm sure the
mhm.
sad, I get the part is that the man is a modern one of many modern spokespeople that are just 100% 24/7 publicity all the time to maintain an image, to sell an image, or to get attract that. Yeah. So, but in
Yep.
any case,
Oh, we've kind of gotten away from doing our recommends, but there's a YouTube channel, Willie Mack.
okay.
He does a great teardown of Andrew Tate and a lot of his ilk. He does a teardown of Sneeko. But yeah, I just if you know who Sneeko is, you're probably going further down the rabbit hole of internet cringe. But yeah, if you wanted to learn more about Andrew Tate and his crimes, his like alleged crimes at this point, take a look at Willie Mack's channel, and he's done a few episodes. Especially if there's a lot of Andrew Tate supporters, but he kind of Willie Mack kind of breaks it down with the court filings and all of the real evidence
Right.
of what's going down. He doesn't really get into all the speculations and whatnot. And Willie Mack show is actually a really good channel. He's very funny. He's a very funny guy. So if you kind of go through and see something else they covers that you might want to watch, definitely give it a watch, because he does a very good he does a very good job of finding the facts and going over the facts, but doing it in a humorous way.
Sure.
So very very enjoyable channel.
Yeah, I have taken a disinterest in certain kind of formats of shows. This is not one of them. I just want to kind
Hmm.
of give a secondary plug. Like, um, there's only like certain personalities that I'll follow, but mainly because they cover. They're just funny, and how they
Hmm.
cover it, and that's Abba and Preach, and they're in that I think they're in a more elevated, refined tier of like what the
Hmm.
Fresh and Fit. Of course, the Fresh and Fit, they do the same thing. They kind of like, this is what you should do if you wanted to do, and I think there's an offshoot of like that, like with the whatever podcast or something like that, which I have no interest in any of that kind of
Hmm.
thing. But you know what? If it's your bag, your bag. But this is more my speed. What you just recommended for Willie Mack,
Hmm.
to like where it kind of gives you a breakdown or like kind of a 60 minutes type to be
Yeah.
to invoke the boomers.
Yeah, and a lot of times you get mixed. A lot of times when you go through these channels, a lot of them have agendas, which there's nothing wrong with that. I
Right.
mean, some people are more right leaning, some people are more left leaning. Uh, Willie Mack tries to find the uh he's more in the center. He likes to poke at hypocrisy and on either side. He everybody's fair game with Willie
Right.
Mack. So yeah, there is it's agenda free but lots of laughs.
Right on. Right. No, that's a good recommendation. Yeah.
Hmm.
I was going to say, I think we're coming up to maybe the end, and to kind of put a bow on it, a big
Hmm.
pink bow. We
Yeah,
have a, s-
nice
we have,
nice bow. Uh-huh.
yeah, we have a special treat here that we kind of teased a little bit earlier.
Oh yeah,
Um,
we've got a little skit going here, right?
yeah, absolutely. That's the here. Let me go ahead and of course we have not looked at this yet,
Yep.
as it were. Of course, I had to look at it a little bit to generate it, but I have not
Hmm.
read it all the way through. Carte blanche. So I'm gonna let Tom get spun up there,
Yep.
and then we're gonna do our AI generated content here,
Yep.
to show you
Yeah,
how
it's
bad or good, or bad so bad it's good. Uh,
uh
and
Yeah,
of course,
we wanted to do a Barbie theme one, so we asked Chat GPT to do a Barbie inspired skit. I think the characters are Alex and Taylor. I said I would take the Barbie character, so I think that's Taylor, and you're going to be Alex. So
yes.
the skit looks like it's called Barbie's Day Out. The setting is Alex's room, filled with Barbie dolls, accessories, and a Barbie dream house. Oh, I guess we're not actually the Barbie characters. We're the kids. So yeah, I'll go ahead and be Taylor,
I will be
and
Alex.
you're Alex, okay?
All right.
And yeah,
All right. Holding Barbie.
yeah, Alex is going to be holding
Yep.
Barbie. I'm going to be holding Ken.
Yeah. and, holding Barbie. Okay, Taylor. Barbie's going to go into the beach today. She needs the perfect outfit.
And Ken's joining her, of course. But first, he needs to find his left shoe. I swear this thing has its own life.
Oh, Barbie knows that feeling. Her sunglasses are always playing hide and seek.
They dress the Barbie, dress the dolls, occasionally dropping tiny accessories, laughing. All right, Barbie and Ken are ready for the beach. But wait, where's the car?
Let's use the shoebox. It's the new Barbie eco-friendly car.
Oh, very chic. It even comes with a built-in shoe smell.
Ooh.
Vroom vroom.
Welcome to the Barbie Beach Resort, where the water is made of blue scarves and the sand is a very sandy towel.
Don't forget the state-of-the-art seashells.
But wait, it's not just a seashell, it's a seashell phone. Barbie's getting a call.
Oh, you skipped your line.
Oh, oh, I'm
You're
sorry.
Ken.
Oh, Ken. Oh, good grief. Uh, Ken found a seashell. He's giving it to Barbie. How romantic.
But wait, it's not just a seashell; it's a she cell phone. Barbie's getting a call.
Who's calling?
It's Barbie's space agency. They need her for a mission to Mars.
Right now, but she's at the beach.
Duty calls Barbie to the Barbie rocket.
and that's and Ken's the co-pilot. Off they go.
Well, that was an unexpected day at the beach,
Well, with Barbie, every day is an adventure,
even if it is in our imagination.
especially in our imagination. And scene.
See?
Well, we definitely aren't quitting our day jobs. That's for
No,
sure.
not anytime soon. But yeah, yeah, I think the Star Trek one was a little bit better, but I think it's just it being Barbie, they went a little bit silly with it.
Yeah, I
But yeah.
think, and we're also learning here how to tweak the AI to get better results.
Hmm.
So I think next time we'll be able to incorporate this. Was the second time out, so it's not bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was very interesting. This is
Yeah.
not to fun to have fun. Um,
Yeah, we'll continue to play around with Chat GPT, and also out there in the audience, if you come up with a prompt that you want us to maybe throw in there for maybe a top 10 list or a skit that we could end the program on, that would be great. We're going to be, obviously, this is a new show. We're always going to be tweaking it and making it better. But we love your support. For our first
Absolutely.
episode, I wasn't expecting huge numbers, and we actually got pretty set numbers. One of the things that I wanted to say is that, sometimes, in the past, we would put out a show, and sometimes we'd get views in the single digits, which we haven't been getting here recently. We've gotten a decent sized audience for each of our shows, so that just means that people are coming back and watching it, just not for they're coming back for us. So I appreciate that. So
Absolutely. Yep. We thank you
yeah.
very much.
Yep. And if you haven't subscribed yet, you might be a fan, so you might want to subscribe. And yeah, if you liked it, give us a like. And then we always enjoy reading comments. So I know it's takes a little bit of extra time out of your day, so we don't expect you to always give a comment. But anytime you do, we definitely appreciate it.
Absolutely, yeah. And we've had fun, and I think this we're coming up and to close out the show. And I thank you very much for watching. If you got this far, and as always, as I like to say, go check out our back catalog because we got lots of
Hmm.
different main shows that we've covered over the time. And at some point in the early fall, I'm hoping to relaunch the website with a slice and diced and nice and categorized thing because Lord knows we need it because Thomas called me on some things like before. He's like, no, 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 dude, we already did that one. All right. Well, I've
Yep.
been Mike.
And I'm Thomas in pink. I never thought I would be have a pink spotlight on me, but
Yeah,
hey, there's a first time for everything.
indeed, indeed.
All right, and it's